Welcome back, everyone, to the MLG Winter Championships. 4 players remain here. Marine King in the grand final, DRG in the losers final, and coming up next in the losers semi, it is going to be Hart going up against Huck.
That's right, and this won't be the first time that they met. We saw them play yesterday, and Hart impressed then. He's certainly been impressing all day today as well, coming out of the loser bracket. We just watched him defeat Gonzi.
Yeah, and a lot of people believed Gonzi would be the victor there, but Hart had other things to say about it. Now, Artosis yesterday, really the Achilles heel of Huck was that 1-1-1 build. We saw in 2 games it really worked out for Hart. What is Huck going to have to do to stop that?
Well,
we all miss him.
I know.
We all miss him.
Well, to stop a 1-1-1, Huck should first bring it into his mind that, well, that's kind of how he lost before. That is kind of Hart's bread and butter. So he should either take a very fast expansion so he can have enough units for it, or he needs to tech up in the proper path, something like going into a 1-base Colossus, or even opening up Phoenixes or a Void Ray Rush could be very good.
Now, does Hart really need to change it up, or should he just stick to that? I mean, it worked so well for him yesterday. If you were Hart right now, what would you be doing in preparation for this first match?
Thank you, Day9.
Hey, what's up? This is Tasteless.
I can't wait to see on What's New on Reddit how many people make little jokes about this and try to get karma. All right, so what should they be doing to prepare for each other? Basically,
Hey. This is the worst impersonation of my brother ever.
Yeah, that's not even good.
I have like the same voice.
You're normally pretty good at it too. I don't know.
I mean, yeah. Normally, I
Who
want
cares
you
to
to
talk
know
about this game?
ordinarily.
Let's
Yeah,
just
that's
talk
fine.
about Nick.
Yeah.
So to prepare, basically, Hart has to decide what type of all-ins he wants to use against Huck, or if he wants to bring it to a longer game. And of course, Huck, he should be just jotting down the strategies he wants to use on each map that beat 1-1-1. Anything that he does, he just has to ask himself, can I crush 1-1-1 with this, or is it going to take luck?
Yeah,
And
I mean, Artosis' fear of 1-1-1 is paramount. He actually goes Robo and then builds the Robo Bay, and then his first Stalker. And if he's up against 1-1-1, oh, he's going to eat that up. The other games, though, we just sort of delete those replays from the replay folder. But the fact of the matter is, we've seen Hart win 2 games against Huck with that 1-1-1 style. But at the same time, if you watched the gameplay 1, 2, and 3 streams, you saw that Hart also has some really aggressive, brutal mid-game control with those Marine Marauder medevacs. So I still don't know really where Huck's strong point is going to be.
Yeah. Well, and we've really just seen as well that Hart's decision-making has been spot on, regardless of the situation. Gonzi repeatedly would be in areas where he actually had a pretty solid hold, but Hart just found the holes in his play and was able to pick him.
Yeah. We talked about how Hart's kind of this unknown player. I mean, first MLG, top 4, maybe even higher than that. What does that really say for this guy, Day9? What do you think about his performance here in MLG?
I mean, obviously, it's a huge breakthrough performance. I mean, MLG really is the breeding ground for players to just smash their way through the open bracket, win the event, and really cement themselves as a solid player in everyone's mind. Hart, though, has an impossible task to do. He has to beat Huck and then Dong Regu and then Marine King Prime. If he did achieve that, he would be hands down undoubtedly deserving of that #1 spot and more. He would entrench himself as one of the better Terrans alive.
Man, so he is going to have a gauntlet ahead of him of one of each of the best of all 3 races.
That's a good point.
To get to the top of this tournament.
That's a true.
Yeah, that's very true, actually. They are 3 of the most accomplished and highest level players of those races. I would say for sure DRG is the best Zerg.
Yes.
MKP making a very good case for being the best Terran. And, I mean,
And
obviously
Huck is
wins
the best Protoss.
pretty much, man.
So
Which team does he play for, Sean?
he plays for EG. I'm always correct eventually, Rob.
You're always correct anyway. It doesn't matter. You make the truth.
I just say the word and poof, he's wearing the blue shirt. Excellent. Now, what are your predictions for the match? It's going to begin as the 2-1 in favor of Hart, but do you think that EG's Evil Genius's Huck is going to be able to make the 4-2 clean comeback? Do you think it's going to be a close battle? Give us a little bit of your thoughts, since I know that you 2 casted the game earlier.
Yeah, well, yesterday both of us Well, I mean, we were straight up just cheering for Huck because, I mean, Huck was already doing very well in the event.
Right.
He had been doing so well in his groups. And then this Terran player that neither of us were very familiar with gets thrown into the groups and plays very well, makes all the right decisions, and pushes right through him. So this time, I think that Huck might come a little better prepared.
Right.
So even though that we were so excited about it yesterday, today should be the day to be excited about Huck.
I want to ask particularly about that Game 2 on Antigua Shipyard that Huck won. Tell us a little bit about that game, the longer-term macro game of the three.
Well, I mean, basically it wasn't 1-on-1, and I feel like that's kind of like Huck's weakness, guys. When it comes to that, Game 1 and Game 3, when he did go up against the 1-on-1, it wasn't a straight-up win. Huck defended the first attack, but it was that second attack that really crushed him. So if he's prepared for that, I think he might just be able to take him on any way possible, because in just a straight-up game that wasn't something like that build that he did in Game 1 and 3, he played very, very, very well.
Yeah, you know, I think that this is going to be pretty hard for Huck, because with Hart actually starting out on top of Huck, he's going to be able to, on top of him, pin him down on the floor, I guess. Now, with Hart being ahead already, anyone that's willing to do a lot of 1-1-1s, even if you do a build that's kind of prepared for it, it's going to take games off you.
Right.
So
Yes.
Hart has a big edge here in that way. And I think that's also one of the reasons, you know, that I don't know where I was going with that.
Let me just finish that thought for you. Don't worry, co-commentator Artosis. You know, in sort of the within-game sense, aggression limits your opponent's option. If I'm attacking a lot, then I know you can't be doing this tech or that tech, so I can sort of think more clearly as to what box you're operating in. The meta consideration is also equivalent. Huck likes a lot of DT openings. He likes a lot of robo-less openings. But now that we have seen Hart do the 1-1-1 in tournament pressure situations twice now, suddenly Huck is going to be very leery of pulling those out of his arsenal. He's going to be, I mean, he's going to be using his air wrench. What is that thing?
Air wrench?
The
He's
air
working out his
pliers,
hands,
man.
man.
Oh, is that what that
yeah,
was?
that's for strengthening your hands, and of course he needs that to press down his keys and his mouse and strangle a nerd.
His keyboard is made of titanium.
I guess so. All right, guys, real quick pick. First map, MLG Daybreak. Who takes this match? Or this map, rather.
I'm going to give this one probably to Huck, and I would not be surprised if Hart does the Banshee Thor Marine all-in off 2 base.
All right, guys.
Wow,
well,
that's particular.
That's particular, man.
And that actually is a very, very potent all-in. I mean,
Yeah.
in a very simple
It's a
sense.
good choice for him.
Yeah, I mean, one scan on the Observer. The Thors shoot the Observer down because Thors, I think, have infinity range against air.
Yeah, and
they pick that off, and then you have Cloaked Banshees, which deal infinity damage to ground.
That's 2 infinities.
Infinity
man.
plus infinity.
Only a physicist
It's
can
still
tell you what
just
that
infinity,
is.
Rob. Don't worry.
Zing.
But that's, I mean, it's not a good map for 1-1-1. So
Definitely
why not
not,
just
yeah.
do the 2-2-2?
Now, that Artosis actually means that very seriously. There's a variety of the 2-2-2 variants. We even saw Marine King Prime use some of them on Entombed Valley, going for the relatively fast siege tank play, following it up with the Marine Marauder. We even saw his game against MC to kick off the whole tournament being that 2-2-2 style with the Banshee Marine tank off 2 base. So, I mean, there's a lot of potential builds that we can end up seeing. And oh my God, guys, go!
So here we are moving into game number 4 in the series down here in the lower left-hand corner of the screen. He's currently behind 1-2 in the series. Let's hear it for Evil Genius's Huck. And his opponent, he has been making quite the showing at this event, representing complexity here. Give a cheer for Hart.
Huck's still the favorite.
Accurate assessment.
Yeah, man.
Man, so this is really the moment of truth for Hart. Is he going to be able to close this out and make it all the way into top 3 of this major event? This is kind of like that cusp of where you separate greatness from almost greatness.
I mean, if I was in Hart's shoes right now, though, and I'd probably also tell him this if I was his manager or anything like that, you're top 4 in an MLG. You've showed everyone, showed the world that you have what it takes. Anything from here on out is really just extra. But if it can get extra, it's going to be so much better for him, obviously. So if he could take this game, take the next game, beat Huck, I mean, sky's the limit with this guy.
And Hart has just been so sick. Now we see that he's not going for anything crazy like a CC first. He's going to be moving out there and finishing off that wall. Of course, you did just see the heart from Huck because he does love you. Oh, yes. Yes, he does. And so that wall is finished off, and the probe is not going to be able to get up the ramp. Hart has moved out to start that supply depot a little bit earlier.
Yeah, yeah. And with that, of course, he does deny that information here. Rax finishes, and we still do not see any gas just yet in the main base of Hart, so it looks like it will be a CC right after that Rax.
Yeah, and he has just started up that orbital command. Meanwhile, back at Huck's base, not doing anything out of the ordinary. Already has his cybernetics core started, and he's just continuing that probe production.
Yeah, so HUK, of course, will just go for the, most likely go for the Nexus over at the Natural here in just a couple of seconds. Meanwhile, you know, we're not seeing 1-1-1, so Hart's basically kind of going for it here. We're going to see if he can actually go toe-to-toe with HUK with something that he knows beat him or was without something that he knows beat him yesterday twice.
Well, I think that coming into this, so Hart was able to secure those 2 victories, but it's not like HUK was very far from stopping them.
Right.
Like, at all, right? Because both of the games that he lost, he already had the Robo out, he already had the Observer, and he was perfectly capable of holding it off. It's just Hart played better.
Let's talk about like the mental state of HUK right now. The games that he's played today, we actually were watching them over on Gameplay 1, Gameplay 2, and Gameplay 3. They have been absolutely insane PvPs earlier. The one against Nannywall, where it was 2 Zealots, a Probe versus a Stalker for probably 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And he ended up winning that. He was incredibly, incredibly excited, but he said he was so nervous during that entire match.
Well, not only that, but the games before that also resulted in pretty massive base trades. We saw him just barely edge out Zaka in their match as well. So that was pretty crazy. And also worth noting, this is the first non-versus Protoss that he's had to play today. So he's very much, you know, probably not as warmed up for this as Hart may be.
Yeah, the funny part about that is yesterday when he did play Hart as well, it was the first Terran that he had played in pool play. So we see that SCV getting into the main base. It sees the robotic facility, of course. Once that Observer gets out, HUK will really decide what he wants to do, because right now he's basically playing blind, doesn't know what to expect from his opponent here. Oh, and he actually cancels the robotic facility right after that SCV dies. I think we're just going to see him add on a ton of gateways and go for it here.
Well, that's actually going to be an awesome response for him, potentially. Now, we see that Hart has added on a couple additional Raxes. He also has a tech lab on one of those, and now he's starting stims. So we're going to see a massive infantry push coming out of Hart.
And there is the reactor and another tech lab being added on. Those gateways are quickly getting closer and closer to being finished here. And Hart's going to have to get some bunkers down. He's going to have to really scout this, but he's going to need to scan to do that. And right now, I mean, he thinks that his opponent's going for that robotic facility. And here are some Stalkers fending off some Marines. They will have to get back, though. Still no bunker just yet, though.
Oh, now surprisingly enough, he hasn't gotten a couple of those kills. Some of those Marines are just so low, but Hart doing a great job using that ramp to his advantage. Oh, HUK moving up a probe, potentially trying to bait Hart into thinking that he placed that forward pylon. We've seen all of the Protoss players pretty much place a forward pylon down there at the forward base.
Yeah, and really no probe out just yet here from HUK. He actually needs to get that forward pylon out on the map if he wants to do something with this push here, which I do suspect he's trying to surprise his opponent with just a huge onslaught of units. And here we go, actually, Hart moving out, and Custom Shell still not done, so HUK is going to be able to get away without losing any more Stalkers.
Man, so HUK has just added on 3 more assimilators. He does have a total of 5 gateways right now. So he's going to have just so many gas units. If he's able to get a pretty high sentry count and just abuse that infantry army with force fields, Hart's going to be hard up to take this one.
Yeah, we see those 2 forges as well for the all-important upgrades there for Protoss. And now, see Hart here taking out the Destructible 3. That is, of course, 4 force fields. It's going to really require so much more for HUK to split the army of Hart in half. And HUK might go down here if he gets in some more warp ends as he waits for the cooldown.
That's right, and he's got enough gateways to support this. He should have enough units to stop this, but we've seen that Hart's control can be pretty damn good. And now there's only 10 seconds remaining on that stim pack upgrade. Hart is going to try to... No, it's probably not a good idea that he pushes up that ramp. He knows that HUK is likely going to have sentries up there, and he's doing adding on, excuse me, that's just going to be combat shields. He's also getting out his starport now so that he can get out some medevacs for that healing support.
And we see, of course, the big money stockpile there for HUK as he was waiting for his warp gates. Thought he might be dropping a 3rd Nexus, but not at this time, as he is currently moving out. And he's still kind of playing blindly in the sense that that observer is nowhere to be found because the robotics facility is nowhere to be found. So all he knows right now is that Hart is just going for a pretty heavy bio play, but he's not sure what tech he's actually on.
And Hart has just started a command center of his own, potentially going to be trying to take that third. Now he's putting his units in a really strange spot around the bottom of the map. Now Huck has a bunch of units out here, and he places down his forward pylon, and this puts Hart in an awkward spot.
If Huck only knew that half the army of Hart was down there, well, he sees a little bit right there, but he's okay. He's kind of thinking of moving in.
Unfortunate for Huck that he didn't have the Xel'Naga Watchtower controlled just there. Now Hart is going to be able to group up with the rest of his units. He also has some medevac support now, and Stim is finished for this battle. He's stimming forward, checking exactly what he's going to be in for.
Huck waiting for those 1-1 to finish here, as now this structural debris is being focused down by both players. They really just hate debris, man.
Nobody. Anyway, I won't say that. So we've got a bunch of Marines starting to move down. He uses the single one. He stims. Will he be able to get enough of concave on this? We see the Guardian Shield used, and it seems as though Hart may have been biting that. No, it's looking like he's going to go in for the battle. The money force fields are laid down by Huck, and he starts to demolish half of the army, but now the force fields are being used against him.
And that was very, very clutch force fields there. I was wondering if he was going to be able to get his sentries in range, but with that pickup, Hart was able to use them against his opponent. He's got to be careful, though. He's only 2 medevacs, but he's going to control properly here, making sure that without charge, you know, Huck's not going to be able to connect. Still 4 force fields are landed, and he cuts off 2 Marauders there. But it's not going to be enough. Huck losing his forces very, very quickly.
Well, that's a bit of sour trade for Huck there. He needs to get some units in behind him. He's got to get these units into a less comfortable position. Right now, those medevacs, though, are starting to completely run out of all of their energy, so as they stem more and more, they're just going to be effectively useless in the next engagement.
Huck does have his Twilight Council now about to finish, should be getting that charge upgrade pretty soon, as well as the robotics facility just now started. Meanwhile, we have the 3rd command center finished for Hart. He definitely wants to take a 3rd here fairly soon.
And he's going to be in actually a pretty decent position to do just that. We see that Huck has just started up charge. He's also going for his 2-2 upgrades as well. And Huck may be moving for a 3rd zone. Yes, he places down the Nexus out at his 3rd base.
And Hart's actually moving forward here. He saw that those zealots still did not have charge, and it's really, really important that he hits a 9 timing before that, because the Protoss army is just so vulnerable without it. And here we go. He's going to have to split this army in half. He has a ton of sentries to be able to do so.
Oh man, we see him stimming, moving up the ramp just a little bit. Now he can land down those money force fields, and there he is, cutting the army in half, but Hart with the great response, picking up those units that were stuck and falling behind.
And so many zealots were just taken out there as he picked it up. Those force fields are about to drop, and with it, the army of Hart will come up that ramp. But looks like Hart might not have enough here. If he can focus down some more of those sentries, it will be very, very good for him. Some warp-ins there with the zealots. Charge still about halfway complete. And right now, Hart is winning this battle. Those Marauders dealing so much damage. Only Stalkers remain for Huck, and they're going to fall very, very quickly here.
Oh man, and in comes Hart just stimming through and continuing the assault. Huck is forced to tap out. Hart takes the lead, keeps the lead, now at a 3-1 score.
All right, so Artosis, I'm not sure if Day9's still with you, so I'll just throw to you. But he did not just 1-1-1, and he actually took a game off of Huck. What does that mean, guys?
Well, you know, mixing in real play, you know, macro-based play.
Real play.
My real
All
self
right,
coming
Mr.
out.
Protoss.
What does that have to do with anything?
You played Protoss, man. That's why you're upset. Real play.
I don't know, man. I just don't like cheesing.
Well,
But, you know, for someone that actually rushes a lot and cheeses a lot, the cheesiest thing you can do is an economy build, because people are already playing a little bit defensive.
I mean, the real issue here is psychological. Now Huck has lost twice in a row to the 1-1-1, and then he got to play on the big map Daybreak. He got to macro. He got to do what he wanted. And Complexity Hart just played smooth.
Yeah, it was just solid play.
Lift up, pull back, and then Huck ended up losing. And at this point in time, you're going to go into the next game, and it is so hard to ignore game 6 and 7 coming up next. It's so hard to ignore those inner monologues, like, well, gosh, even if I win here, I'm going to probably be up against a 1-1-1 in the next few games. Really gets in your head. There was even some bumpy timings showing up there for Huck. All 5 warp gates finished, and he's at 41 of 44.
Yeah.
There was not enough supply to do a big warp in then.
Well, what did you think about that first robo cancel that Huck did after it was scouted?
I don't have too much of an opinion on it, to be honest. Huck does a lot of cute canceling and rebuilding, and honestly, of all players, I trust Huck the most to be able to follow them up properly, as he has so much experience under his belt with those wacky plays. But still, the follow-up play that he did, throwing down all the warp gates, getting ready to do the big push, and then just like not quite having the really any chance to do any attacking at all against Hart.
No, Hart was smooth, as you said, lifting those things up when Huck was really relying on force fields, didn't have any sort of splash units, just decided, okay, I'm going to trap a piece of your army, kill it off with mostly zealots and a few stalkers. As soon as that starts not working, you're in trouble. And Hart was actually very smart. He stemmed, ran around, targeted down a lot of stalkers so that his medevacs couldn't get sniped during this micro battle.
All right, guys. Well, coming up right after this, it is going to be game point for Hart as we cut to a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. Huck versus Hart. Game 5 coming up soon.